I walked out on my own, slowly and carefully, using a cane that I was already hoping to throw away before Christmas came around. But still, I walked out by myself, not in a wheelchair, not with someone holding me up, but on my own strength. That mattered more than I can fully explain. Each step felt like proof that I was still here, still moving forward, even if it was slower than before. Roscoe was already there, standing next to his car in the parking lot like he had been waiting for a while. He had 2 cups of coffee in his hands, one for him and one for me. That's just the kind of man he is. You can count on him to think ahead, to show up prepared, and to not make a big deal out of it. He handed me one of the coffees without saying much at first. Then he looked at me and asked, "How do you feel?" I took a small sip before answering, letting the warmth settle a little. "Like a man who just walked out of a rehabilitation center under his own power," I said. He nodded once like that answer made sense to him. "Good answer," he replied, simple and honest. What I didn't expect was to see Thaddeus Birch there too. He was standing a little off to the side, not too close, holding his leather briefcase in front of him. He had that look on his face, the kind that says he came with a purpose, like he had something important to give and wanted to do it properly. He stepped forward when he saw I noticed him, and without wasting time, he handed me an envelope. It was plain, but it felt heavier than paper should. "Brent Godbout accepted the plea," he said in his calm, professional tone. 22 months, minimum security, mandatory anger management, and 3 years of probation after release. Gavin Purcell's statement was what really closed it. I gave a small nod. I didn't feel like saying much about it. Some parts of that whole situation didn't need words anymore. He continued, "The civil settlement from Corinne and Brent is also included in that envelope. It covers your medical expenses, the cost of rehabilitation, the income you lost while you were out, and—" He paused slightly, the way lawyers do when they're about to mention money. "Damages." I looked down at the envelope in my hand for a moment, feeling its weight again, thinking about everything it represented. Then I looked back up at him. "Is it enough to be annoying to them?" I asked. That made the corner of his mouth move just a little, almost like a smile, but not fully. "Very annoying," he said. That was enough for me. Roscoe and I got into his car, and he drove me back to Ballantyne. The ride was quiet for the most part, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of quiet that comes when nothing needs to be said out loud. I had already sold the house during everything that happened. The house that used to be mine and Loretta's. It didn't feel right to keep it anymore. Too many memories were tied into those walls, and not all of them were the kind you want to carry forward. So I let it go. In its place, I found something smaller. A simple townhouse on the other side of the suburb. It was clean, quiet, and filled with good natural light in the mornings. That was one of the first things I noticed about it, how the sunlight came in gently and made the place feel open and calm. More importantly, there were no old memories waiting for me inside. It was just space. Empty space that I could slowly make my own. I had started to like it more than I expected. That same evening, I found myself sitting in my car in the parking lot of Crestline Industrial Group. I hadn't been there since the Friday before the party, the day before everything changed. Since then, I had been on medical leave, the kind where people send messages that say, "Get well soon," but you can tell they don't really know what else to say. The kind where conversations feel a little forced, a little unsure. But that time was over. I was going back on Monday, and for the first time, I felt ready. I sat there for a while without getting out of the car. Just sitting in the quiet, looking at the building in front of me. It looked exactly the same as it always had. Strong lines, clean structure, glass reflecting the late afternoon light. Nothing about it showed what had happened. Nothing about it had changed. It was still standing, still solid, still doing what it was built to do. In a strange way, I respected that. I let my eyes follow the shape of the building, taking in the details like I was seeing it for the first time again. The way the sunlight hit the glass, The way the shadows formed along the edges, it all felt steady, unchanged, dependable. Then my phone buzzed. The sound pulled me out of my thoughts. I reached over, picked it up, and saw an unknown number. For a second, I just looked at it, deciding whether I even wanted to open it. Then I did. It was a message. Short. Only a few words. I read it once. Then I read it again, just to be sure I understood it right. And then something happened that hadn't happened in weeks, maybe longer. I smiled. Not the kind of polite smile you give people when you feel like you should. Not the kind you fake to make someone else comfortable. This was different. This was real. It started somewhere deep inside, somewhere behind my chest, and moved outward before I even realized it was happening. It felt natural, unforced, like something waking up again after being quiet for too long. I'm not going to tell you what the message said. You don't need to know that part. Some things are not meant to be shared. Some moments belong only to the person who experiences them. Saying them out loud would take something away from them, make them smaller than they really are. What matters is how it felt, and what it meant. There are some endings in life that don't need an explanation. They don't need to be spoken about or broken down. They just settle into place quietly, and you understand them without needing words. They feel complete on their own. That was one of those moments. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, still feeling that small, real smile staying with me. Then I started the truck. The engine came to life with a familiar sound, steady and reliable. I took one last look at the building, not with hesitation this time, but with a kind of acceptance. Then I pulled out of the parking lot and started driving home. The road ahead felt simple in a way it hadn't for a long time. Not easy, not perfect, but clear enough. And for now, that was more than enough. If you enjoyed this story, you can support it by liking it and subscribing to follow along for more stories that are real, honest, and focused on family and life as it truly is. And as always, thank you for being here and being part of this space.